anybody wants an outline of a clinic talk that I have about how to defend against prepare for a passing team, I'll be glad to send it to you. All right, I've got it. You can have it, and it's a pretty nice. In fact, I'll just show it to you if you want it. I was going to talk about this in a little different way. I think it presents itself a little bit better that way, but these are just some of the things that we would go through and we still go through that I think are important in preparing. And again, this is attitude type stuff, which I don't want to talk about anymore, and that's why I'm going to present it to you in a different way. The part of this that you may be interested in, more interested in, is there are fundamentals that are important in secondary play and linebacker play and drills on this sheet that you may be interested in that I usually talk about that I'm not going to talk about. I'm just showing you this, so if you want it, you can get it from me. And I always coached the secondary for 20 years, so I had a page like this these were all the things that I thought it was a checklist. I also have a daily and a weekly checklist, the different areas of things that, if you want a copy of this, that's the only reason I'm showing it to you. Give me a card or something afterwards, and I'll send it out to you, and you'll get it in a week or so. But I'm not going to approach it this way for you. I'm going to talk about, hopefully I'll tie this together for you. There's two real kind of coverages that I talk about that we think there really are in football. If you were coaching a quarterback, what do you tell the quarterback? There's a middle of the field safety or there isn't one, right? So to me, you have middle of the field coverage and you have split safety coverage. All right, so what I'm going to talk to you about is middle of the field coverage first, because I think that applies most to playing 8-man fronts, most to stopping the run, and those types of things, and the principles of it. And I'm going to present it in a way that hopefully will help you present it so that your players understand it as well, and show you again why. And this is how I present it to our players, and I think they understand it that way. And it's the same way I presented it to the players in Cleveland. And they could understand it that way too. And this is the first thing that I show them when we do a middle of the field. We put in the middle of the field coverage. Now, what are middle of the field coverages to me? You can play 3 deep zone with strong rotation, which I call cover 3. All right, you can play sky support, cloud support, buzz support, which to me is the backer to the flat and the safety down in the hole. All right, cover 6 is you can play weak rotation in the secondary, which is still what? 3 deep zone with the middle of the field player, but now the safety is down to the weak side, or the corner is down weak, or you buzz that side. You can play middle of the field coverage, which is man-to-man, man-free. Cover 1 to me is man-free, rat in the hole, which I think is the best coverage in ball. It's absolutely the best coverage in ball. They can't run the ball. The quarterback's got to throw the ball outside. Can't make any easy throws like when you play zone. And it's a good coverage, and I'll talk to you about the coverage a little bit. But all 3 of those coverages completely tie together because they're all what? Middle of the field, middle safety. You got a guy in the middle of the field. So everything that you do is relative to the guy in the middle of the field. That's how we coach it. All right, now, this area right here that you see, of course, here's the ball. All right, this is the area that the free safety defends. Now, this field is drawn up as a college field is today. They didn't move the hash marks in high school, did they? Did they move the hash marks in high school when they moved them in college? So your field's a little bit different, but the principle's still the same. The pro field is different in this, too. I had to adapt back to this. But just to give it to you, it's 7 yards to here, it's 9 yards to here. Okay? These hash marks got moved a couple yards, so this is your hash mark right here at 17 yards, which is easier on your field to apply these principles that I'm going to give you than it is on ours. All right, but everything you teach a corner in terms of leverage as a deep third player should be because of the relative distance that he is from the middle of the field safety. So the seams don't get too large between the safety and the corner. In other words, the first thing that I'll give a corner is I say, all right, this is your divider right here. 1 yard top of the numbers, 10 yards from the sidelines if the ball's in the middle of the field. What does that divider mean to that guy? It means if the guy's outside that divider, you should be inside technique, because what has it created? It's created a big distance between you and the safety. So there's a seam in there. Correct? If he's got a short split, he's inside your divider. What technique should you play against him? Play outside technique and play it outside relative to your divider. What does that mean? If he's 5 yards inside your divider, line up 2 yards outside of him. How close is he to the safety? He's real close to the safety, right? So if he runs deep and down the middle of the field, who's going to be there? The safety. Where's he going to beat you at? Outside. Correct? So it all starts with that. And that divider, guys, for your corner play, to me, runs all the way down the field. What does that mean? What if a guy stems? Let's say this line right here is my divider. I'm a receiver. The ball is in there, and I line up right smack dab on this divider, this line that's running right down the middle of this floor. And that corner plays me outside technique. If I stem outside, what should that corner be? Where should he be now? Inside technique, right? Because I've now done what as a receiver? Extended the distance between me and the safety. If I line up way out here, where would the corner line up? Inside. What if I stem off the ball like this? Where should the corner be? Outside. That's what I mean by position relative to the divider. Now, that sheet that I put up there before about how to get ready for a passing team, there's a whole section on position maintenance technique, which you got to teach a kid how to do what? Adjust horizontally and vertically to play in the secondary. You've got to be able to do that. Now, all you guys still believe in teaching backpedal probably, right? I don't very much, but I did for 20 years before I learned better. But anyway, if you're going to backpedal, obviously you do it just like you run. You keep your knee, you weight over the balls of your feet, you want your knees bent here, and you're going to work your arms exactly like this. But to me, to adjust horizontally out of a backpedal is very, very important. Now, everybody can do what? Teach the guy to turn his butt like this. I think when you adjust outside, it's okay to turn your butt. When you adjust outside. When you adjust inside, if you turn your butt, you block your hips to the middle of the field, and sometimes you put yourself in a bad position and tie yourself up. In other words, if the ball's in here and I want to stem outside, I think it's okay to do this because I end up doing what? Playing in a half turn, still eyes here, receiver here, I can see everything. I see number 2. All right, when I do this and turn my hips inside and get in a position like this, I'm not in a very good position, right? I got my hips locked out to the inside. I can't get open to the middle of the field. I really am better off rolling over and turning my back to the quarterback. So what's the best way for me to adjust in there? Tack, heel to toe like this and stay square. Does everybody see that? And most kids will have a tough time doing it. This is how I teach it real quick. They got me with so many wires here. All right, it's just I'm going to stand here like this, and I say you slide. Slide here to there, here to there, here to there. You need to go over here, just start the other way. Right like this. Don't cross over. Just take heel, toe, almost like doing the waltz. All right, now, we can talk about this theory, but you backpedal against Willie Galt, you can't defend anything. He's too fast, he runs by you, no matter what cushion you keep. You keep enough cushion to keep him from running by you. Can't run any patterns, catch any balls short, but he runs out there and stops and you're 15 yards away from him. Now, how can you play closer to a receiver? Play him like this in a half turn. Because I'm already half turn. I don't have to have transition from backpedal to running. I'm already in a half turn. And I can adjust in here like this, keep leverage on a guy, and play in a half turn just as well as anything else, except one thing that I always have to do is when I'm in a half turn and the guy disappears to my back, what do I need to do? Can't always do this. Have to be able to roll over like this, which is a faster turn than out of a back pedal. And we've all coached all of our life, back pedal, and I'm going to get killed up here. Back pedal and plant, point, knee over the toe, and accelerate out of the back pedal, and all that. And I'm telling you, you can do this like this, and do this faster, and be closer to the guy in the meantime. Why can you be close to the guy? Because you don't have to ever go into transition to turn. But anyway, let's get back to this. But that's the position maintenance that I'm talking about, horizontal and vertical positioning on the field, but it all starts with the middle of the field safety for a corner, The distance relative to the safety, how you keep leverage on a player. All right, now, if we're going to play 3 deep zone, that doesn't change. I don't care what the rotation is. As long as the corners have the deep third, I don't care who the deep third player is, that relative position should be the same on that guy to use the middle of the field safety. If we're playing man free, what position do you think the corner should be on the guy? If I'm a corner playing man free, could you stand up a second? We're going to use this as a divider again. The ball's in there. The ball's in there. He's the corner. If I'm in here, where should this guy be? On me. Get turned and run.
Okay.
All right, that's a divider. That's outside the divider. This is inside the divider. I'm closer to the safety now, right? So where do I want to be? Outside. Since I have a middle of the field safety helping me, how can I play this guy? What should be my vertical position on the guy? High shoulder, low shoulder, even shoulder. That's how I teach. Well, if I got a safety right there, why should I have to stay high on the guy? All I have to defend now is the 7, and I'm outside of him. So if I run to the 7, you can jump back up and cut me off anyway, because you're outside, right? All right, now I got help in there. So if you're inside a divider, I'm going to play you what? Outside and low. Okay, here's the corner again. Now, if I release out here, the safety's in there, right? And the ball's in here. I release out here, what position you think this guy needs to keep on me now? What would you say? Inside, because of the distance from the safety, and high. Why? Because you're going to keep me cut off because there's no help over the top. So when I say, let me be the receiver, the defensive back.
Okay.
All right, you take off down the sidelines. I'm going to jam you, and I'm going to keep you cut off because I can control your speed now. Run. I can control your speed. I got you cut off. I'm high shoulder, right? I got no help here. All I got to do is worry about the guy running a what? Come back. Right? So for that corner, that principle of how to play 3 deep zone, to me, is very important because it's all relative to what guy? The middle of the field safety. So if I don't, and the principle is the same in all coverages for the corner. If you're in phase, I always tell guys, if you're in phase with the receiver, which to me,
I'm talking about your high shoulder, which way are you turning?
back to the ball, because if I'm high shoulder, I'm in phase. All right, stand up again. If we're running down the field, I'm in phase right now, right? If I'm even with the guy or high, I'm in phase. So I become the receiver. Now I feel and squeeze the guy and look for the ball like this. Okay? Now, if I can make a play on the ball, I make it. I use this hand. Most people don't teach this, but I use this hand while I'm looking to do this and this. And I'm always going to get the first rake with this hand on the throw. And then do this if I can't get the ball. All right, now, if I'm out of phase on the guy, then I'm going to play the ball through the man. I got beat where I got no help. All right, I'm low shoulder on the guy, right? I'm not going to look for the ball now like this. I'm going to play the ball, eyes and hands through the guy, look for the ball, drop your eyes. I'm going to play where he goes with the ball. All right, that's out of phase. And playing the ball for defensive backs or linebackers, the first thing I ask them when they play the ball is, were you in phase with the guy? Why'd you look that way? You were out of phase. So you didn't play the ball correctly. All right? So the principle for the corners, everybody understand it. Now let's just get into bump and run here, because this is how I teach stuff, guys, by principle. All right, I'll be the defensive back now right here. All right, he's the receiver, ball's in there. I'm the left corner on defense. All right, that guy split right on the divider. What should my technique be? Full press if I'm going to play bump and run on that guy. Why? He's got a normal split. I don't know if he's going inside or out. I'm not going to uncover him to the inside because then he buys grass and gets on top of me outside. I want to protect myself there. If he goes inside, I run him off the plane. I can play him low shoulder, so I play him full press. A little wider split. Takes a wider split. Doesn't have as much room to run outside, get on top. He's not going to run a 9, so now I'm going to take a slightly inside position on him. Right? Because the worst thing that can happen is give him an inside release outside a divider. Safety can't make the play. I can't make the play either. All right, now he moves in. takes a short split. Where am I going to play him now? Slightly outside, right? The guy's buying grass to run a 9. So I'm going to put myself in good position. If he releases in here, what's he got? Even if I don't hit him. What has he got? He's into the safety, right? Safety's got to make the play from the numbers in the middle of the field. All right, then I'm going to offhand jam him as he goes by watching his, stand right here on the divider. All right, I'm watching his hips. He comes off the ball, release around me, one way or the other. All right, then I'm going to offhand jam him this way. Whatever way he turns his hips and gives up the angle, I'm going to take the offhand. Now, if he walks up on top of me like he just did, I'm going to pop his ass before it ever happened. All right, but I'm just saying, as a receiver, he's going to look to not get hit. So he's going to move around me. All right, now, and I'm thinking strong with the inside hand because he's probably going to outside release. Now, release this way. All right, and then I'm right like this. And I slide into the guy, offhand jam, slide into him, and you want to jam him from the tit to the in front of the shoulder. All right, then come off in phase with the guy relative to the safety. So if we back up a step so I can do that, all right, if he releases in here, I jam. Now when I come off this, where do I want to be? Low, right? Right here, running in. I'll play him like this. This hand's going to hook him, and hook here, don't cover the shoulder. All right? If he runs back to the 7, I'm going to jump back up on him like this and play him here. All right, now on the 7 to play the ball, this on him. I'm in vertical phase with him. I'm not in horizontal phase. So if I play the ball like this, he's going to catch the ball because I can't get, but I'll play the ball now like this because I'm not in horizontal phase, not because I'm not in vertical phase. All right, now the guy runs outside, I'm going to keep him cut off, right? Keep him cut off. Stay high on him, keep him cut off. Now what you read when you're playing close coverage is you read the guy's hips. You look for the guy to run down the field, and when the guy goes like this, which way am I going to cut? I'm going to cut this way, or I'm going to fall down. I can't hardly go that way. Now speed cuts are hard to read, but they're all short. Right? So you read the guy's lower body, you try to get on the same foot that he's on, and when that hip rolls through for him to plant, where are you? You're on the same foot running the pattern with him. When he goes like that, you go like that too. And that's what you try to teach him. But anyway, I'm not really here to totally teach you bump and run, just the principle of position and how to use a safety. And that's how you use a safety in 3-deep or regular coverage. Now, there's one other principle to 3-deep coverage that I think is important. All right, and that's the seams on the field. When you're playing 3-deep, there's a place, and everybody probably does this. You all probably have the free safety run, fishtail in the middle of the field, run 2 guys down the field about right there outside the hash marks, and throw the ball, right? Break on the ball drill. Everybody do that? I've done it all my life. All right, now, if they run double seam on that safety in the game, and nobody keeps those guys from running in that spot, it's a break on the ball drill for him. All right, now the 3 things in zone defense that we teach our players is number 1, you drop to an area, you reroute the receiver. Reroute the receiver. Number 2, you match the pattern. I'll talk to you about that. With zone integrity if we're playing zone. And the last thing you do is break on the ball. Now there's 3 kind of pass defense that you can play. You can play man-to-man, which we talked about a little bit. You can play zone, which I just gave you our principle of zone. And you can play pattern match, which means you're going to match the pattern after the pattern distribution. Now, you watch these basketball teams play, I watch Bobby Knight's team play. They play man-to-man. Sometimes they play zone match man, though, too. Right? And sometimes, some teams play a 3-2 zone. Michigan State won a national championship with Magic Johnson there. They never played it down a man-to-man a whole basketball season or anything else. They just played that one zone. All right, now, but my point on this diagram is you cannot let people, when you're playing 3-deep zone, run free in that part of the field. Those are the 2 seams. So we will always have a player drop to the seam to reroute the seam if somebody's running in it. Example. All right, let's put the ball up right here. I can't draw this totally to... All right, if this tight end runs like that down the field and the strong safety's 3x5, 4x4, however you play him, and he drops right there and that guy's running down the field, what should the safety's got to reroute? He's got to make him run out of that area before he goes any further. And he's got to do it at 10 yards. Because you heard me talk about in playing bump and run, you keep the receivers cut off. When you play zone pass defense and they're running vertical, you keep them cut off too. And if you're an underneath defender, you stay on top of them. Because if you reroute them early and jam them early, what happens? Well, I'm the strong safety here. This man right here is a tight end all day. All right, now, I'm lined up right here like this at 4 yards deep. That guy takes an outside release and runs in the seam. Come on. He runs in the seam. I jam his ass right here at 3 or 4 yards. What happens? As soon as he gets back on top of me, where can he run? Wherever he wants to run. Right back in the seam, right? Same thing when we get to cover 2. Now, if he takes that same deal and I drop back here to 10 yards and I'm standing in the seam and I reroute him out of the seam at 10 yards, then by the time the ball's thrown, he'll never be back in the seam. He'll either be into the safety or into the corner, one or the other. Right? So you got your underneath cover people, when they're rerouting, you have to keep the guys cut off to 10 yards, which means they stay on top of them. They have the receivers have to run through them to get where they want to go. All right, so in this coverage here, we are not going to let anybody run in the seam. Now you can usually tell your players they don't have to worry about the seam as soon as there's 2 backs in the backfield, because there's no double seam. And if there's no double seam, the safety can play, because he should always read 2 to that side anyway to know if he's coming in the seam. Now, what would I tell this safety right here, all right, if I was preparing for a passing team? If the number 2 receiver runs vertical like that, there's probably 3 patterns that it can be. Maybe it's different in high school, but this is what I've been exposed to. First of all, you get this pattern right here, which I call what? That's a smash. Okay? You can get the tight end coming up the seam, and this guy running an out route, which I call pull. All right, and you can get the tight end, well, let's just put the tight end in the seam and the outside guy running that, and that's a what? Double seam, right? And the tight end might do that if it's a middle read, he might hook it up or whatever. But basically, how many more different routes are you going to get other than these 3 basic ones with the guy running in the seam? There's going to be a few, but that's where it all starts. Double seam, seam and out, smash, right? In most ball that I play. So right now, this guy's got it down to what? 3 things he got to defend as soon as the guy runs in the seam. And that's how we teach pattern matching too, based on what the second receiver does and all that type of thing. All right, now, let me just, before I go into cover 2, let me just talk about, I've talked about this pattern matching, or mentioned it a couple times. Let me just talk to you about what I mean by what I'm saying there. All right, now, also, everybody, and I've been on staffs with at least Bill Belichick, Al Groh, Jim Bates, Rick Venturi, Woody Woodenhofer. 5 guys, and George Perlis was too, 6, that all have been coordinators in pro football that I've coached with on staff. And 4 of those guys coached with me in Cleveland. But it doesn't make any difference. We got a flat player over here. We got a hook player over here, or a hook curl player. We got a hook player over here. All right, we got a curl flat player over here. Okay, because we're rushing 4 right now. All right, we got a deep 1/3 player. We talked about some of his players. We got a middle of the field player. We haven't talked about him yet. We got a deep 1/3 player here. All right, now, if those are the players, and everybody thinks I'm crazy on this, but this is the way I teach it, and you may not need to teach it this way, all right, but I put that on the board, and we teach cover 3 and cover 6, all right, and buzz and everything else that goes with it right at the same time. See, how can you play all these coverages? It's 3 deep zone, guys. However we put the parts in make no difference, whether it's cloud, sky, buzz, whatever it is. Because here's the positions and here's what you relate to. All right, now, these 2 guys that drop over here, I don't care who they are, whether it's a safety, a will, or whatever, you're dropping through the seam. You're dropping when the ball's on the hash mark. We make him the seam guy in college because it's too far for him. The ball's never on the hash in pro. You're relating to number 1. You're relating to number 2 after the pattern distribution. You're relating to number 3. You're relating to number 2. Don't let 1 catch it outside and run with it. All right, that's what you're relating to. All right, here's your drop point. All right, this guy's got to reroute. Both these guys could have to reroute whether the ball's on the hash or in the middle of the field. It's impossible for the flat dropper to reroute when the ball's on the hash. It'll be impossible for you too. So you give it to this guy, but you don't have to worry about it unless this guy's up on the line, probably. All right, now, what do I mean by you relate to 1, 2, and 3 and all that stuff? After the pattern distribution, after you drop, and you two guys are tied to a string on how you drop and expand, but you're limited to how much you can expand and how much you can contract in that zone based on where the players are. So we'll just take a very simple pattern here where he does that, he does that, he does that, he does that, and he does that. Now after the pattern distribution, who's 1 over here? Who's 2? Who's 3? Who's 2? Who's 1? Right? So this safety drops to the seam. Is there anybody to reroute in the seam? Nobody to reroute. You're inside out on the outside receiver 10 yards deep. You hold on 2 for as long as you can. All right, this guy here drops to the hook, and he's going to stack the hook at 10 yards. And he'll take it back to the ball if he has to, and that's number 3, which is that check down. These two guys on here are 1-2 match. This guy's going through the seam, through number 1. He's expanding with 1. 2 goes out. I go to the new 2, which is right here, and that's how we would match that pattern on that side. All right, so everybody's going to stack up on these receivers. Now, who's vulnerable here? This guy right here. What are we going to defend in this defense? The middle of the field. We're not going to let him throw the ball vertical down the middle of the field. They're going to throw the ball in the flat. In the flat, short in the flat, outside. That's where they're going to throw it. They're not going to throw it in the middle. So we're not going to run out and defend this guy and let this guy catch the ball. Now, eventually, this guy will get stretched out of here, but this corner playing man-clue technique, keys number 2, no 2 in the seam, what's he do? Squeeze 1 man-to-man. So he's playing like cover 1. Both corners would be squeezing these guys man-to-man. You got to run through with the flat players when you play like that. Now, what if we called 3 buzz and this guy here was a safety? This guy here would be the backer. This guy here would be a backer. This guy here would be a backer, right? Would it make any difference how they match the pattern? Different guys, interchangeable parts. If you're playing sky, this guy's a safety. What if we play cover 6, 3 deep zone with weak rotation? Who's the safety? That guy does the same thing the Will just did. This guy now becomes the Will, which was the Mike in cover 3. The Mike now becomes the what? Who was the Sam who plays the front side hook, and who is this guy dropping to the flat? The Sam, who's playing the flat just like he did in 3 buzz. Same pattern matches. So you just teach them all, and you can play whatever you want, right? Now, we've talked about how to play every position in 3 deep zone underneath both ways. Now, does anybody have any questions about, and we play patterns, guys. I mean, we play patterns, just like I'm sure you see this pattern, probably out of slot, probably with the ball in the hash, not like I'm going to draw it up. Everybody see that in high school ball? Now, how should that safety play this? Drops to the seam, there's nobody in the seam. He's got to start expanding. How should he expand? I call that a sail technique. I don't see very many people teach it. I don't see it played this way. All right, we played it this way in Cleveland. I know a lot of people that do in pros, but if that was a corner playing cover 2, how would you want him to play that? If I was a corner in cover 2 playing that, I would play it right like this. Ball's in there. Tight end's up here, guy in the flat's right there, and then I would expand like this with my belly button pointed to the upfield part of the zone, and then I would slow turn break to the short part of the zone, right? But we all teach the safety to do what? Vision point back like this, then start to expand like this, and turn his back to the high part of the zone, right? So he has to play what? A lot deeper because he can't see the guy, so he gets a lot further away from the guy in the flat. All right, now, and I'm a stupid hillbilly, so you guys don't, you can laugh if you want, but if I'm the strong safety and I back up and get in the vision point and go through the seam and all that stuff that I've been talking about, and I see the tight end coming, this 3-out strong flood, it's going to be the sail route, I come out of here like this, and as soon as I see that happening, I take the safety and play them the same way as I play the corner. Flip them over and play a sail technique. Does everybody see what I'm talking about? I can do it better over here. I'm the safety. I come out. This man right here is a tight end. This guy's a guy going in the flat, and I'm coming out like this, like a safety. As soon as I see that, I can go like this and start running. Or I can flip over like this and play just like the corner would and split the zone. But from top down, pointed top. Anytime you play top down, which is how you always got to play, you should always tell the guy to play facing the top. Right? That's the way I tell him anyway. Okay, but that's the principle then of 3 deep zone with everybody but the middle of the field player. Yes?
Your free safety, are you just lining them in the middle of the field, or are you adjusting them according to the position of the wide, the depth or the width of the wide out?
I tell the free safety, if you could line up right smack dab in the middle of where the wideouts are, then that's where you line up. If there's a wideout here and a wideout here, and you could line up 10 to 12 yards deep, 12 yards for most of them, right in the middle of where those 2 guys are, that's where you should be. All right, but then we redefine the field. What I use for the safety a lot is this is the goalpost, right? When the ball's on the hash over here, I really tell the safety, you're playing this is the middle of the field for you. All right, because if the quarterback drops back, it's hard for him, and I didn't go over this, but if the ball's on this hash, this 1 yard from the numbers goes 3 yards. So basically you just cut a couple yards of the field off because the quarterback's got to throw it 50 yards to get it there. Okay, so you defend a little less, so everybody cheats, all right, and then this divider cheats, and this divider actually pushes out a little bit too, because it's how far the ball can go to get there. All right, now, the middle of the field safety, depending on where the ball is, I don't think he should ever line up inside the hash. Okay, and we always tell him to line up in the tackle box. Even if it's slot formation and no width weak, I don't like to take the middle of the field safety past the front side tackle. If it's a pro formation, he should line up between the ball and the weak side tackle. Very seldom do we take him beyond the ball, unless it would be no width on one side. Does that answer your question? Okay. I've always read defensive backs through the line. All right, so he would read through the uncovered lineman to the ball. But I think the linemen show you running past faster than anything else. And, you know, we always teach the same principles, that we get a primary support, a secondary support, which is a run-pass guy, too, and a cutback guy on everything, and an alley player. And the safety in 3 deep zone is usually the alley player both ways. Now, what I teach is 2 guys in here coach the running backs, right? All right, now, if you can cut it back as the runner, then I want the safety to attack the line the same way. Flat step and roll and come inside out on the ball like this with my shoulders square. All right, I see free safeties doing this, getting to the middle. All right, then it's the inside roll play, and they turn their shoulders like this and come back at the ball, and even though they're inside out, their hips are pointing this way. Can the guy cut back on them? Yeah, so you attack the line of scrimmage the same way that the runner does. Now, if I'm the tailback and it's outside roll play, sprint play, I take the ball like this. Am I going to cut it back? No. I'm going to stretch out, right? I might stop and cut it back, but I'm not trying to bend it back this way. So now, as a safety, I should take my shoulders are the same. I shuffle and I flat step, and I'm coming now at the line of scrimmage the same way you are. As a runner, I tell you, you're the tailback, line 11, 12 yards deep. But we key the lineman, the uncovered lineman, for run pass as well as the ball. And then what you really got to work hard, the downside of that is the run it, play pass. You know, the old Boomer Esiason, you know, giving it one of these shots where he fakes the ball hard and the lineman come off hard and all that stuff, and then he comes up and bombs it to you, bombs it to him. Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions about? All right, you give me the high sign for 10 minutes. All right, now, what I wanted to talk to you guys about, all right, was a couple more principles about this stuff here. Is You got the middle of the field principle, right? All right, now here's when I like to play middle of the field coverage. If they have two backs in the backfield, all right, you might as well play an 8-man front, right? I mean, so you always ought to be playing middle of the field coverage. If they're in trips formation and they're overloading you, all right, there's no sense in really playing split safety coverages. Doesn't do you any good. It really doesn't. I mean, you got heavy sets. All right, now, 2x2 is a time where when you split the safeties in the coverage, it really helps you. Because when they get that old principle, they're like this. All right, now, this to me is the pattern that kills 3 deep zone. That's it. Double seam. All right, now you're going to coach so hard to keep these guys out of the seam, you always give up this pattern. Or at least we do. When we're playing cover 3. All right, so when they get 2x2, that's when you cover 2, the quarter, half stuff that people talk about, quarter on both sides. You know, those types of things to me should be what you try to apply. All right, but I mean, this is just very general here now. All right, but the best coverage for all the way around is, and I don't know why more people don't play it in lower levels, but cover 1 is the absolute, and it's a simple coverage. All right, now in cover 1, you'd line up exactly like cover 3. You can play the corners bumper off. You still have a middle of the field safety who is free in the middle of the field. All right, let's just line it up like we're going to play a 4-3 or an over front, all right, to play it. All right, but basically the Will and the Sam and the Mike is free. These two guys have these two guys, outside technique, man-to-man. This guy has the tight end, the strong safety. This guy's free in the middle of the field. He's got him. Okay, now, this guy's still playing sky support just like cover 3. All right, if this guy runs across the field, the Mike will take him and the safety will become the free guy. Okay, the other rule for the Mike is he always has a second back. You don't have to play it this way, but that's the way we play it. In other words, if they both went this way, who has this guy? That's the second back, right? So Mike has him, he becomes a rat. If they both went this way, who's a free guy? The Will's a free guy, Mike takes the second back, Sam takes the first back. Don't play it in and out, just second back rule. Okay? All right, the safety's got the tight end, but our safety would say sky, rat. What does rat mean? Rat means I got the tight end, but I'm in the safety position on him. I'm going to run support, and I'm going to stay here. If he runs across the field, I can't cover him. Free backer, you got to cut me off of him and take him, and I'll take your place. That's what rat means. All right, so you got the whole formation leverage. You got everything in good shape. This guy runs across the field. He takes him. You become that guy. Right? What if it's flow pass on the same deal? Let's say they're in this and they flow pass. Who has these two guys? Who's the free guy? Who has the second back? He's the free guy, right? Now the tight end drags across. Who's got him? Will's got the cut. The safety comes up in the hole. When that guy runs that, the corner gets double help. Got a middle of the field safety and a hole player. Got a hole player and a middle of the field player all the time. Can't defend the middle of the field any better than that. Right? All right, now, how do you adjust the coverage out? You can do it 2 ways on backfield breaks. I've just told you everything you need to know about the coverage. Talked a little bit about playing bump and run. All right? Now, if we just call cover 1 period, all right, the Will has to take split inside breaks. Split inside breaks, not the wide outs, backfield. Okay? If you get a tight inside break, the safety takes him, and then the Sam takes the tight end. Just slides over and takes the tight end. Then the Mike and the Will have the back and the hole, whichever way the back goes. And the other guy has a hole, and you cut the guy off. Now we call it funnel when our linebackers play 3-on-2, and if we got a 1-back set lined up, I don't care how we're playing the rest of it, and these 3 guys had these 2 in the hole, we'd just call that funnel. And for this guy to get help on the slot on the crosser, he has to call rat. Rat tells the linebackers that guy's in the funnel. So if he runs across the field, you're cutting him. The whole player's cutting him. Take him off. All right, now what kind of technique would I play on that slot guy right there? You got a middle of the field safety, right? from what we talked about before, I'd play that guy outside technique all the way. If he run across the field, what would happen? Say that happened. He'd take him. He's the free guy. He hooks up. He's got him. Who takes him? He cuts him. He comes back in the hole. You end up with that double net. Right? Level the coverage off however you want to do it. That's cover one. Now, if we play one alert, and you never want a linebacker, you never want the linebackers to cover anybody but the tight end and the backs in a one-back set, then we play one alert, then the safeties do this. So you're getting this, like this. Safety's got this, free safety's got this. These three guys have what? These two guys. This guy goes in motion to here. If we call one alert, it means that the tight end and the remaining back are always taken by the backers, and all breaks are taken by the safeties. The safeties would spin, and this guy would now take this guy. This guy would become the middle of the field player. These guys would slide away from that and have those two guys in their hole. That's just another way to do it if you don't want them to take any breaks off of that. All right, now, one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, which I missed, was when we were in this pattern matching stuff. Now we're back to zone. All right, every boot and every flow pass, you should have rules for in every coverage that you have. Okay, now, first of all, I'm just going to go on flow pass. All right, if we're playing 3-deep zone and it's flow pass, all right, we're going to match the pattern and flood the coverage. Will's got number 4 in first crosser, or first crosser. All right, does backside corner have anybody in the seam? No, can't. He's man-to-man on that guy. All right, if this guy runs across the field, who's got him? Will's going to take him man-to-man. All right, once we get flow pass, this guy's on 1, 2, and 3. We're playing like pattern match now. Okay, this corner here is going to be man squeeze based on his divider, and you still got the safety in the middle of the field. All right, so when all this happens right here, all right, when we get a crosser in 3-deep zone, we're going to robot the weak hook player. Will takes the first crosser. He robots. We got one going back, so these guys don't play 1 and 2 anymore. They play 2 and 3 like they always would because 1 went back in flow pass. So we would actually robot this guy to the hole, and he would look for the X or Z dig because we're in a what here? 3-level vertical pattern by the offense. So if we play regular levels on defense, we can't win because they're going to high-low our players. We got 2 levels of players. They got 3 levels of players. We can't win. So what do we do with it? We squeeze this. We got a middle-of-the-field level player to take this. We got a second-level player to take that. The Sam and the safety have the check downs and underneath the Z. So when this guy stops here, the Sam's going to take him. When this guy comes out, the safety's going to take him. We end up man-matching it. All right, now, if we had a boot on, if you had a boot, and you ran the common boot with him in the flat, him running a go, him coming across, faking it hard this way, coming out here, that. All right, now, every zone coverage we have, flat defender on the side of the boot has a guy in the flat. 2 hook players have a tight end across, sandwiched. Strong safety is underneath 1, match the underneath pattern, don't get outflanked. Okay, so how would we take this pattern? If we're in cover 3, Mike's a hook player, Sam's a hook player, safety's a flat player. Who's got the first of the flat side of the boot? Will takes it. What does this guy do? He just runs to get on that side of the tight end. He runs to stay on this side of the tight end. What's the safety do? Underneath the Z, match the next guy, checking down, don't get outflanked. Corner's got nobody in the seam, he's man-to-man. Corner got nobody in the seam, he's man-to-man. Free safety's in the middle of the field. Take the pattern man-to-man. Boots, waggles, all that stuff, we just run and take the pattern. Flow passes, run and take the pattern.
You don't worry about the secondary with the middle linebacker.
We don't, because we got the guys on the edge most of the time. But if I was going to second contain anybody on this, it would probably be this guy. But if they don't have a guard pulling, you really shouldn't need second contain. Because you should teach your guys to relative contain, to run to the flat. Okay? All right, now, one other thing. You kicking me out yet? Getting ready to. About ready to. All right, now, let me just show you the simple principle of, you know, you got 2 by 2 now. Here's the ball. You got 2 by 2. All right, now as soon as you get 2 by 2, I talked about playing cover 2. I can't get into it, we don't have time, where you got the corner rolled up, jamming the flat, safety playing the half. This guy now, when you play 2 deep zone, you reroute guys to the seam, you're defending in the middle of the field, so where you rerouted this guy running this pattern out of there, you reroute him to there now, because what's that do to you? It gets the safety leverage on the middle read, right? At 10 yards, you want that guy in the seam, inside out, like that. All right, now, you got cover 2. Now, if you play quarter-quarter, you back this guy off. You play quarter-quarter, you read 2, you reroute him. You totally match the pattern. Now, I call that box. All right, if you wanted to play cut, then what we would do in cut is this guy would play like cover 2. He plays the half, wide, and you tell all the inside players, you have your guy inside and across the field. If he runs the flat, cut the 1. So if they run this pattern here, what happens? You trap the flat with him, he runs and walls that guy off. If this guy runs down the seam, what's he do with him? I'm sorry, let's go back up here. If you're going to cut means if your guy runs inside or up the field, you take him. If he runs the flat, you cut the 1. They do this. And I mean, you got that guy now, and you got a half guy over the top. It's like playing cover 5, 5 under man, 2 deep, except you take him after the pattern distribution. All right, now, if this guy, number 2, runs up the field, what's the will do? Carries him, right? If he runs inside or up the field, you carry him. Corner jams and plays the flat. There's no smash rule on this. He has to take the 7. Safety's on top. He's got that. But if you just play cut, box, and cover 2 zone against 2 by 2, play 3 deep principles, and there's a little bit more to it than what I explained to you today, against 2 backs and trips. And trips, we would always play like flood coverage if there's no 4 weak, and we'll call that Mabel. In other words, Mabel, we're flooding the coverage over and matching just like I talked about flow pass. All right? Hey guys, I'm really sorry, but these guys that have these clinics, 50 minutes, it's not enough time. Thanks. Well guys, I'd like to make most of the time when I do this, when we get going, we're rolling pretty good, but at the same time we like to do it as informally as possible. I want everybody to feel like I'm just one of the guys at your school and we're talking ball, and if you have a question, please stop and ask. If you would like for me to answer a question about something that's a little bit different than even what we're talking about, I'd be more than happy to do that. First of all, I'd like to let each and every one of you know that Michigan State's not that far away from here, probably 3.5 or 4 hours, depending on where you're coming from. It's our philosophy, my philosophy, and our staff's philosophy that we would like to give back any way that we can to the people that help develop our program, which I think the high school coaches, wherever they are, certainly do that. I think you guys do the best job of coaching of anybody at any level. So therefore, we'd like to give back to you. I've been coaching this game for 22 or 23 years now and have never invented one idea, one philosophy, or one technique. Some player or some coach somewhere along the line gave me the idea to do it that way. And we've always been very open about trying to help and develop professionalism and professionals in this profession. So if you ever want to come and visit us, don't hesitate. We'd love to have you. The first thing I'm going to talk about, guys, is attitude development of a team, of a defensive team, whatever. And I think this is very, very important. And I think you need to know that I've given this talk to the Mid-American Conference,